spraying a little natural bug spray on the bears. Doesn't hurt them at all, and they're reasonably used to it. For those of you that are outside, you know there's a few mosquitoes, flies, and they can bother the humans like they're bothering me. They also bother bears. And there's some things bears do about that. Mosquitoes and bugs like to bother their face, their muzzle, around their eyes, and their ears. Those are some locations where they have less fur. And one of the things that bears like to do is, at least here, when we have a cedar pile out, we had a cedar pile out there and we'll have to replenish it, they will put their head and their paws and rub their nose and their face and their muzzle in the cedar pile, and that actually then is a deterrent to getting mosquitoes and bugs all over them. They definitely favor their head, their face, and their neck area, and once in a while you will also see them rub their belly in a cedar pile because that also tends to have less fur. So they do have some natural deterrents that they can use to help themselves. It also helps with ticks. In the wild, you'll see bears with ticks, and they can be quite a menace. As if you've ever had a tick, you know what that is. It's not fun. But we have a couple bears out here right now. We have Honey Bear. Honey Bear is the cinnamon phase bear right in front of the viewing area for the PTZ driver. She's 18. She was born on a game farm, therefore has always been a captive bear. She's never had cubs. And interestingly enough, for the two males that live here at the Bear Center, she has rejected both of them. And what does that mean? Well, really what that means is it's a matriarchal society in the wild, and it may be a male may want to mate with a female, but she may not want that to happen, and therefore it doesn't. So Honey's never had cubs. Then we have Lucky with a little different story. Lucky is the bear right over here. He's black. He's 7 years old. He's a neutered male. He weighs in at about 330 pounds, 335, which is a nice weight for him right now. He was born of a wild mother. He was orphaned, and we subsequently got him here at the age of about 7 months, and he was only about 15 or 20 pounds at that time. So he's basically grown up here. And Ted Bear, who's not out right now, was really his best buddy for about 4 or 5 years until the dynamics of the two males changed, and Lucky really began to, shall we say, feel his oats and thought he should be the alpha male. He now is the alpha male here in the 2.5 acres, and it is one of the reasons why we keep the females separate. Now the items that they're working on, Lucky has what we call the green thing. We haven't found a fancy name for it yet, but it's only got one hole in it where he's got some treats, and it's not so easy to get something out of that. In fact, none of the bears, it's a new toy this year, none of the bears really have figured that toy out very well. Honey Bear has worked at it the most. Lucky, as you've just seen, has lost interest in it. It's like, I don't know if I want to mess with this. So he's lost interest in it. But Honey is very determined when she gets it. And she will work at it until she gets the last treat out of it. Honey, who is just a few feet away from the scale, she's got what we call a donut. Or it looks like a small inner tube, maybe, made out of very, very hard plastic, and it's got 3 holes in it. And it's the only way the food will come out. And why do we do these things? Well, there's a couple reasons why we have these bear enrichments. Number one is for them to demonstrate their problem-solving skills as well as their dexterity, and it provides mental stimulation for them as well. All these skills they would need in the wild, so they're not unique to captive bears. In the wild, they'd have to move rocks to find an ant colony, maybe under a large rock, or maybe a rotten log that's got a nice ant colony in it. They dig it out with their front paws. Their nose smells the ant colony, and then of course the immature ants, or in some cases immature bees, is the big source of protein for these omnivores. A black bear diet is pretty much only 10% protein. Our bears here at the North American Bear Center get their protein in other ways. That's not to say that there aren't ant colonies here and that they can get them here in the 2.5 acres, but we make sure they get raw egg in the morning. It's one of Lucky's absolute favorites, raw egg, in the shell, yeah, in the shell. Tuna fish is another way to get protein, as well as nuts. There are some nuts that are pretty high in protein as well, and that's how we satisfy their approximate 10% of their diet with protein. Some of the other things they eat on a regular basis here at the Bear Center: carrots, apples, peaches, plums, apricots, avocados, grapes, romaine lettuce, dried cranberries, dried apricots, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries. I think I said blueberries, but I'll say it again. Now, if you watch the dynamics here with Lucky, she's throwing him food, but when she puts up her hand, it's like, no. Lucky knows that this fence is an electric fence, but what he doesn't know is whether it's on or off. We know, but he doesn't. I'm kind of looking around the 2.5 acres enclosure for our little holly bear. She's about a 92-pound little yearling. She's made a couple of appearances today, and quite honestly, from where I'm standing at the far right, I don't see her. So for our PTZ driver, at this point, I am not seeing Holly. She is not in the white pine. She's not in the white pine, and I don't see her anywhere else either. Someone on the deck said would be on the mound on the food shed side for the PTZ driver. It would be on the right side by Lucky. Someone on the deck said they saw her. What Holly's dilemma is, does she come down here with 2 big bears, or does she wait for a better opportunity to get food? In the wild, coming here with 2 big bears is kind of risky, especially when one of them is a female, and that female honey has demonstrated some great skill at treeing holly bear. That's the way things work in the wild. The older females will tree a yearling, whether it's a male or female, and basically tell them who the boss is. That's just in simple terms, that's what happens, until the older bear is convinced that the yearling knows the rules. That was honey just vocalizing a little bit, kind of going boof, boof, boof. That's a poor interpretation, but she kind of vocalized a little bit. Lucky heard it. He's moving the other way. He got the message. Many times a lot of their vocalizations are very subtle, and if you watch their body language, ears up, ears back, long nose, eye focus. They talk sometimes and you don't hear anything. It's the body language that tells you everything. Now I'm going to go far right here and look for our little holly bear. I'm actually looking up in a tree. That would not surprise me if she was in a tree. For those of you here out in the World Wide Web listening to this podcast right now, it's got to be over 75 degrees, maybe 80. Extremely humid, at least to me. Partly sunny, nice light clouds, but we've developed a breeze. It's a little bit more than a breeze. And the wind is not always something the bears like to contend with in the wild, as well as our bears here. So we've got some gusts of wind going on here. And what that does is it really, holly bear, PTZ driver, holly bear toward the white pine. I believe I just saw her head in the path, PTZ driver in the path she usually walks coming from the white pine. So she has gone far right to far left. And when I saw her, I believe she saw honey bear. She's basically scoping out what's the opportunity for her to get food. But getting back to the wind, if it gets real windy, the bears get nervous. They can't tell with all the branches and leaves rustling and making noise. This is what it sounds like in a bear's ear. So how'd you like to listen to that all day? I'm sure some of you out there in podcast land turned your volume down when I did that. It really messes up their ability to understand noise that has got to be a concern to them, that would cause them to be alarmed, or just plain regular old noise that they don't need to care about in the woods. Typically when it's real windy, bears will hunker down, maybe climb a tree, just hang out, take a nap. Be careful at whistling. If you bring them toward the fence, they're going to get quite a few volts zapped at them. And the fence is there really more for us, but we try not to lure them to the fence, because then we're luring them into a negative reward, and that's a good zap. That was one of the reasons why the volunteer here was holding out her one hand to Lucky, and he understood that. It was like, stop, because she was concerned he was getting close to the fence as a reminder to him. If you don't remember, Lucky, you're going to get a zap. They do have excellent long-term memories, but every once in a while they get carried away about the food and the excitement of people, and sometimes they forget. For those of you PTZ driver, watch Honey Bear. She just went on the bridge, crossed the rock bridge. She could be on the hunt for you-know-who, little Holly Bear. If she does find Holly Bear, I can almost guarantee she will tree her. Honey Bear is our cinnamon phase black bear. I know a number of times children have asked me, well, if she's a black bear, when is she going to turn black? Well, she never will turn black. She's always going to be cinnamon in color. I see Holly Bear, PTZ driver Holly Bear is in the white pine at about the 15-foot level. I can see her from where I'm standing. People on the deck should be able to see Holly Bear. The white pine is to our left. It is the largest forked dead tree on the left, and it is just to the left of Honey Bear. And she is black. Can you people on the deck see her? Yes? Yes? Holly Bear is actually looking at my direction. She wants to know who's out here. For those of you up on the deck that can see her, you might want to point her out to your neighbor if they don't see her. She might be at the 12-foot level at this point. I'm quite sure she will not come down with Honey Bear so close to her. That white pine, that half-dead white pine, has become a favorite of hers, and white pines are favorites of black bears. The reason why is the white pine bark is slightly curved and does not come off very easy. It makes it very easy for a cub black bear to climb the white pine. In this area here in Ely, Minnesota, when a mother bear comes out of the den in the spring with some cubs, it is very, very, very likely that she will walk those cubs to the nearest white pine for their first couple nights outside the den. If in fact there's danger, the mother bear will grunt like this, telling the cubs get up the tree and stay there for further instructions. So we call it their refuge tree, and that is the largest white pine we have here in the 2.5 acres. And it was 7 years ago Lucky, the bear we have out here on the right. It was Lucky's cub tree 7 years ago, and he still climbs it today. We may have some interesting dynamics if Lucky continues to go around the pond, because Honey's on the other side. For those of you here at the Bear Center, you might see some brown patches on Lucky, on his backside a little bit. Those brown patches, if you look carefully and the sun hits it correctly, he's really a black bear. That brown is all his undercoat from last winter that he will be shedding. The same with Honey Bear. If you look at Honey Bear's around her ears, her neck, and all her 4 legs are really quite dark, but on her back, she's really pretty light, and all that light fur is going to be coming off in the next couple months. And she's actually going to the den with a really dark chocolate brown color, more like her legs. So all our bears right now at the Bear Center still have their winter coats. And I'm warm just standing here in my jeans and shirt. I sure as heck wouldn't want a fur coat on today. I want to thank all of you for coming to the North American Bear Center today. I'm going to be signing off here shortly, but with all 3 of them out, Holly in the white pine, Honey right now at the creek, we call it the creek, and Lucky Bear is at the tree line. There may be some further interaction. I would like to remind all you visitors here at the Bear Center today that we are open until 7 o'clock, and your admissions is a day pass. We also have a BBC documentary playing in our theater. One was filmed in 2010, the other one in 2012. Both were filmed entirely in the Ely area, and actually it is a BBC crew filming Dr. Lynn Rogers as well as his fellow researchers in the field here in Ely area working with wild bears on a trust-based relationship. I'd like to thank you all for coming to the Bear Center today. I know you have other choices for your entertainment and educational opportunities. We're happy you picked us. So thank you from Ted, Lucky, Honey, and Holly, the North American Bear Center, And I want to say thank you to the PTZ driver and the moderators of our chat page that make these worldwide podcasts possible, and monitoring our chat pages and giving information to people worldwide. Thank you very much.